Now, your first venture, Ready Break.
Yeah.
Now, how was the response from that? I know it's obviously the big fans that get the Ready Break. You know, they either got it early on, or they can find it on eBay or something.
Or the fan site now, or the fan club. You can get a copy Ready Break through the fan club now too.
The fan club.
Yeah.
So what's behind the decision not to release that like fully and stand behind that a little bit more?
I think, truth be told, I mean, I understand like a lot of fans love that record, and I've had countless kids tell me it's like their favorite thing that we've ever done, which is, I mean, that's great. I mean, I appreciate anytime anybody likes what we do. I mean, for us, I love that record for what it represents and where it comes from, which is, you know, I made that, you know, with a band, but in the middle of the night, you know, in some dressing room upstairs at a concert venue that we used to play. And so, as much as I like it, and as much as I like it for what it was, and as much as the band does too, I think we've always felt like that is a piece for the fans. You know what I mean? It's not. It was never intended for mass consumption. It's a demo. I mean, it was a demo. It wasn't a full length. I mean, it's a full length demo, but it was you know, it's hopefully the CD that was its goal was to get us out there and get labels listening to us and let us go make a record that we could actually take the time to make. You know, and because of that, you know, we got a chance to, you know, because of those demos, we got a chance to make, you know, what I consider better records. But also, you know, that was what motivated our decision to make it a fan club item. You know, I didn't like the idea that people were paying, you know, over $100 for it on eBay. I felt like that was something that always upset me. But I didn't really want to. None of us wanted to make it available for distribution on a major scale, because I don't think any of us really felt like it was representative of what our band was, as much as, you know, currently, as much as it was representative of the past, you know. And I didn't want somebody to be thumbing through and get a chance to, you know, listen to Audio Box or Leaving Through the Window or North, and instead buy Ready Break and think maybe that's what our band sounds like now. You know, and I know fans get frustrated with that mentality, but ultimately it is something. Corporate is a band of you know, mainly the four of us who started it, and that's kind of always been our opinion on that. So we put it out through the fan club, and it's like, you know, now if you join the fan club, you get a lot of incentives, and it's only like $20, and you can get a copy of Ready Break and not have to pay some astronomical amount of money on eBay for it. So that was kind of the goal. It was out there if you really wanted it.
Now, Leaving Through the Window, your next album, that was your first major album with Drive Through, and how did the response from that help you grow to where you are now, basically? Because I'd say that's one of your strongest album, I'd think, and yeah, the fans, the long-term fans obviously came from that, I think, as well.
Yeah, I mean, definitely initially, it's like, with Leaving Through the Window was, you know, I mean, obviously I like all the records that we've made. I wouldn't put them out if I didn't. But I think, you know, ultimately that record was what kind of put us on the scene. And it was like we started doing most of our, you know, I think touring really is what put us on the scene more than anything, and where we found most of our success was through touring. And that record was kind of the very first thing that we did that you know, that opened the door for us to go on tours like the Warped Tour, and we went out with New Found Glory, and, you know, then did the headlining tour with the Juliana Theory, and it was kind of as that record came out, and with all that we invested into that and the time that we put on the road, that people started finding out about the band.
Definitely. Now, I was wondering, how do you feel about the fans' like reaction to North? Because I know it's really varied.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, it's funny. It's like, it seems like it's an acquired taste, and it's something that like has. I mean, it's sold exceedingly more copies than Leaving Through the Window did as well. I mean, so it's hard to really say. You know what I mean? It's like you know, I've definitely heard people argue, and like from like the core fan, the initial fan. You know, and it's kind of the way it always seems to be with bands. The first thing you hear from a band tends to be your favorite thing. I mean, I've always been the same way with all my fans. My introduction to the band, whether it be their first record or their second record, it's always my favorite record. And, you know, I think we picked up a lot of fans, and, you know, our fan base has actually grown since North came out, you know, with college students, and, you know, I think Leaving Through the Window is inherently much more of a high school record, and North is much more of a grown-up record, you know, and I feel like, you know, you can definitely see a difference between the fans who prefer North, the fans who prefer Leaving Through the Window, you know, and, you know, it is what it is. I mean, that record was much less of a pop record. North was much less of a pop record. It was much more of a kind of weird little brain odyssey where we were all very, you know, tired and beat up and had been on the road for a long time, and you know, that's what that record is reflective of, is like a kind of a very strange time in both my head and Josh's and the rest of the band's, you know. And there are people who like both records more than the other, and you know, that's what happens. You put out records, and that's all we can do. It's like they represent a certain time in our lives, and if you know, if people like them or gravitate towards them, great. You know, if not, there's not much we can do. But that being said, it's like I said, North. I mean, each record that we've put out has subsequently sold more copies than the last, so I feel like at least we're doing something right. People are, you know, whether the overall fan perception is that they like one better than the other, at least they're all being bought up and people are listening to them. So that's a good thing, at least.
Yeah. Now, do you see yourself going back in and writing for another album with something corporate after you're done with touring with Jack's Mannequin for a while?
Yeah, I mean, truth be told, I mean, it's like anything. I mean, I'm kind of juggling all things at once. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if we spend some time in the studio working on songs this summer. You know, and in between tours and things like that. You know, and we definitely have a priority to put out a record. It's just a matter of making sure we have the right label situation and the right, you know, and have the ability to make the music that, you know, we're proud of. You know, and as long as that's the case, we'll definitely be doing it. How you doing? I'm Andrew McMahon with Something Corporate and Jack's Mannequin, and you're watching Concert Pipeline.